People can make mistakes, and yes, sometimes the innocent ones are charged with crimes. However, the justice system recognizes this, and this is why many times innocent convicts have been set free. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to discuss the top 7 reactions of innocent convicts set free. Stay tuned to find out. So let's start our video. Number 7. This is John Bunn. He was falsely convicted of murder for 27 years. "I'm an innocent man and have always been innocent," he said, while residing in Brooklyn, New York. Bunn was only 14 years old when the NYPD officer Louis Scarcely apprehended him. Later, Bunn served 16 years in prison, followed by 11 years on parole, during which he struggled to prove his innocence. The conviction was overturned due to the misconduct of Detective Scarcella and the lack of probable cause to arrest Bunn in the first place. Y'all convicted and had the wrong man in prison for 27 years. After fighting 27 years to clear his name, he's finally forgiven, but not before he has a moment with a judge. Bunn later filed a lawsuit against the city of New York and Detective Scarcella. Number 6. This is David Ranta, who served 22 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit in Brooklyn, New York. He was apprehended by Detective Louis Scarcella. Yet, this is again another erroneous conviction involving Scarcella. Ranta was put in a police lineup run by Scarcella and identified as a shooter. Still decades later, reportedly, the key witness revealed that the detective had given him a description of whom to pick in the lineup. There was no physical evidence linking Ranta to the murder, and the evidence presented to the jury was allegedly fabricated. Ranta was convicted and sentenced to 37.5 years to life in prison, but after spending over 2 decades in prison, he was acquitted. The defendant's motion to vacate the judgment of conviction was granted. After his handcuffs were removed, he embraced his family and threw everything he owned over his shoulder before walking out of prison a free man. He reportedly received $2 million from the state and a $6.4 million settlement from the city of New York. Number 5. Here's Susan Mellon. Based on her untruthful testimony, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She was 42 years old when she was arrested in Los Angeles, California, at a McDonald's while taking her daughter to get a Happy Meal. That was the last time she saw her daughter for 7 years, as she was charged with the murder of an ex-boyfriend. Mellon's conviction was based primarily on an informant who claimed that Mellon had confessed to murder to her. She was in prison for 17 years until the informant was revealed to be a pathological liar and an unreliable witness. This is the moment that Mellon's case was eventually reversed. When released, Mellon took her kid to McDonald's to pick up the long-awaited Happy Meal, and her daughter went from crying to bouncing for joy. Mellon was awarded $597,000 in compensation by the state of California, and the Los Angeles City Council reportedly agreed to pay her $12 million. Number 4. This is Luis Vargas. He was sentenced to 55 years to life for crimes that he did not commit. Vargas was 29 years old and a Los Angeles, California resident when he was charged with 3 sexual assaults based on the similarities in the descriptions of the offenses. Authorities determined that the same individual was responsible for all 3 attacks. Vargas was convicted on all accounts and served 16 years in prison before the California Innocence Project conducted DNA testing on the remaining physical evidence and clothing from one of the victims and found no match. Vargas sat silently when he was acquitted of all charges, as the evidence demonstrated that he was in fact innocent and that he did not conduct those acts, so undermining the prosecution's case. Vargas's mother had one simple request when he became a free man: "Give me a hamburger and we'll eat it together." Vargas reportedly received $886,000 in state compensation once he was acquitted. Number 3. This is Daniel Villegas. He spent 18 years in prison for a double homicide that he did not commit in El Paso, Texas. He was arrested at 16 after an El Paso detective reportedly threatened him with beatings and the death penalty if he did not confess. He signed a confession that was prepared by the detectives. He tried to withdraw his admission a few hours later, but it was too late. He was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. The state of Texas versus Daniel Villegas verdict, Form B, the jury finds Daniel Villegas not guilty. He is now a free man who's no longer subject to any conditions. He's free to leave. Thank you. Villegas has reportedly launched a lawsuit against the city of El Paso. Number 2. This is Ricky Jackson. He spent over 39 years in prison for a murder that he did not commit. Jackson was arrested when he was 18 and living in Cleveland, Ohio. The main witness in the case was a 12-year-old boy named Eddie Vernon, who said that the police pressured him into testifying against Jackson, which led to his conviction. Jackson was initially sentenced to death in the electric chair, but after spending 2 years on death row, his sentence was reduced to life in prison. Almost 4 decades later, 52-year-old Eddie Vernon came forward with the truth, stating that he had never witnessed a murder. Charges against Jackson were then dropped, and after being wrongfully imprisoned for 39 years, this is the moment that he learns he's free. Jackson is now outside as a free man for the first time. Jackson received $1 million in compensation from the state and $2,650,000 for lost income. Number 1. Kirsten Lobato served 16 years in prison for a murder that she did not commit. At the age of 18, she was charged with the brutal murder of a homeless man in Las Vegas. She was first convicted of first-degree murder, but on a retrial, she was convicted on the lesser charges of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 13 and 45 years, after spending 16 years in prison. A new hearing revealed that the actual day of the victims, this is Lovato's first trip outside as a free woman. I feel overwhelmed, joyful, and grateful. I'm very happy. She's filed a complaint against the Las Vegas Police Department, and her compensation claim is still pending. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.